Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to moderate this panel discussion on technology and AI and how it's fueling new horizon. I am Valérie Rollet. I'm a board member of the French Tech and the CEI in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE. I've been in the Middle East for the last 20 years and dedicated my professional career to innovation and technology. So today we have a very exciting and very diversified panel to talk about AI. We are going to dive into three main topics: AI as a growth engine, the question of sustainable and responsible AI, the concept of sovereignty, because that's a very hot topic nowadays, and we'll finish on talking about international positioning and cross-border collaboration. So I'm going to introduce my panelists. First, our guest. Sultan Olavez. He is the Vice President International Execution at Qazna Data Center. Qazna Data Centers is a hyperscale infrastructure leader in the UAE. It has a national footprint in Abu Dhabi, Dubai and Sharjah of 300 megawatt of IT load capacity. It's owned by Etisalat, jointly owned by Etisalat and the G42 group. It has a full AI-ready infrastructure to be the backbone of AI model training, data analytics, and secured cloud deployment. And Qazna, as you will hear, has a sustainability focus. So Sultan Olavez is the Vice President for International Execution at Qazna. Is working with regulator, investor, and client across border to help expand cloud and AI services to underserved region, promoting digital inclusivity and economic growth. We have another guest from the GCC who is in charge of the National Technology Development Program. This is a strategic initiative by Saudi Arabia aimed at strengthening the nation's technological capability and ensuring sovereignty in the rapidly evolving field of artificial intelligence. With a budget for a fund that has been launched in 2020 of 700 million USD and a second fund that is going to be 3 billion USD, the NTDP primary objectives include enhancing the IT sectors, supporting national companies, promoting innovation, and increasing local content. Ibrahim is the CEO of the National Technology Development Program, and under his leadership since May 22, it has the NTPD has launched several programs to support tech startups such as the MVP Lab, the AI Mission, an accelerator in partnership with Sparks Lab, and this initiative has significantly contributed to the growth of Saudi Arabia tech sectors, backing up startups and securing over 750 million USD in investment in 2023 alone. We also have 3 startups, or scale-ups, sorry, including FluidStack. FluidStack was founded in 2017. It offers scalable GPU cloud services tailored for AI, machine learning, and large language model training. And he operates a hybrid business model, private cloud services, and a marketplace platform. And in February 2025, FluidStack signed a memorandum of understanding with the French government to construct one of the largest, as you know, decarbonized AI supercomputer. The planned facility will have 1 gigawatt of dedicated AI compute power and will scale beyond that by 2028. César is the CEO and the co-founder. With a background in aeronautical engineering from Imperial College London and an experience as aerodynamist in the field of Formula One with the Red Bull Group, César brings a unique blend of engineering expertise and entrepreneurial vision to the tech industry. We have also Nicolo, who is representing Candela. So Candela is the first quantum computing pioneer in Europe. It is at the forefront of developing and commercializing a photonic quantum computer, and it brings cutting-edge quantum hardware with cloud-accessible quantum solution for enterprise and research use. Nicolo is the co-founder of Candela, and he has more than 15 years of experience in semiconductors, photonics, and quantum computing, and he is recognized as an international expert. And before founding Candela, Nicolo worked as a senior researcher in several research laboratories in Europe and at the CNRS, and he received the Jean Gerpagnon Prize for its exceptional contribution to quantum computing. We have also Lighton. Lighton was founded in 2016, and it specializes in developing generative AI solution tailored for enterprise application. The company's flagship platform, Paradigm, offers customizable large language model that can be deployed by public SaaS, private cloud, or on-premises. And as of last November, Lighton is now a publicly listed company. And Igor Caron, sorry, with the English, is the CEO of Lighton. He holds a PhD in nuclear engineering from Texas A&M University and has a very robust background in engineering and entrepreneurship. And beyond his leadership on Lighton, Igor is an active contributor to the AI community, notably co-organizing the Paris machine learning meetups, one of the world's largest gatherings focused on machine learning. And last but not least, Florence. Florence is representing Dassault Systèmes, which is the global leader in virtual digital twin technology and AI, providing software solutions that enables organizations to imagine, design, simulate, and manufacture sustainable solutions across an industry. It has a unifying digital environment, the 3D experience platform, that is used by over 15 million users around the world. And Florence is the CEO for Europe, Middle East, and Africa at Dassault Systèmes. She brings expertise in technology-driven transformation, capacity building, and emerging market development. She also contributes to strategic foresight through a role on boards at Nexity, at the CNES, France 2030, and Institut Montaigne. She is a graduate of École Polytechnique and Corps des Mines. So that's the presentation of our panelists. As you see, we have a very diversified panel. And if we dig into the first topic of artificial intelligence as a growth engine to drive productivity, efficiency, or economic growth, Ibrahim, what is the role of national innovation framework like Saudi Vision 2030, and how such a framework can help fund AI and build AI ecosystem?
First of all, good morning, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for hosting us. If we look at the Vision 2030, you will find under the Vision 2030 there are multiple national strategies and sectorial strategies as well. Under the Vision 2030, we have like two national and sectorial strategy. One is the National Digital Economy Strategy, and the second one is the Data and AI Sectorial Strategy. The goal or the vision of Saudi Arabia is to be in the top 15 digital economy countries by 2030, and also to reach to 135 billion USD as an AI contribution to the GDP, which is around 12.4 of the total GDP. Not only that, but also we, through our different initiatives that we see from either PIF, the Public Investment Fund, or from the government entities, or NTDB, an entity that's responsible about developing the tech sector and tech startup sector in Saudi Arabia. Through this framework, through this collaboration, we are planning to reach, to control or to manage 7% of the total global AI workloads. And also to build talents. If you see the latest news, Saudi Arabia launched the AI National Champion Human under the Public Investment Fund. It's a multi-billion-dollar company to build and also to be one of the leading AI companies around the world. And also they had so many collaboration and partnership with NVIDIA to secure 18,000 Blackwell GPUs to build AI factories across the kingdom, and also another partnership with AMD. It's a $10 billion investment to build the AI infrastructure, including Qualcomm to build chip design factories in Saudi Arabia with more than 500 engineers. This is from the private sector, and also if you look at Sadaya, they have another partnership with NVIDIA with 5,000 Blackwell GPUs to build an AI souvenir factories, and also to train and build capabilities through universities and an institute. Through NTDB, we are a development fund, and our main role is to build and foster the growth of the tech startup ecosystem, with more focusing into deep tech and emerging tech. And one of the main pillars is the AI. So our main role is how we enable more entrepreneurs to build startups in these fields to help the nation, and also to build the ecosystem in Saudi Arabia. In the last 3 years and a half, we built 800 new startups in the country. And with 23% of them, they succeed to close either seed round or pre-A or A round. 150 out of the 800 startups are an AI companies or AI startups, and we are attracting like a global and local talents to build these startups. And also recently we launched a $300 million fund to invest in deep tech. One of the main vertical is agentic AI and general purpose AI. So if you look at the ecosystem as a whole, you will find the government, you will find the private sector, you will find the policymaker and regulator, and also NTDB as the enabler to provide the grants, the non-dilutive grants, access to capital, access to talent, access to financing, and access also to investors to build this ecosystem. So it's an integrated ecosystem where we share the same goal to have the AI sovereignty by 2030.
Thank you. Sultan, if we speak about infrastructure, how is Kasna hyperscale infrastructure preparing the UAE economy to harness the AI for future-proof growth?
Thank you very much. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here in this panel. As you mentioned, the infrastructure investment is a very important aspect for the AI era, and this is the role that Khazna plays today. Khazna started in the UAE back in 2012 with humble beginnings with 2 facilities in the UAE. Throughout the years, we've grown to have today around 25 facilities in the UAE only, and around 350 megawatts of capacity. And we are expected to double this capacity in the next coming years. And I think it's also worth mentioning what we feel as a testament of our efforts in the UAE, whether from the private sector as Khazna and the others developing the infrastructure, and from the government of being very supportive and enabling such investments to happen, where recently has been announced the UAE Stargate project, which would be the largest data center AI-ready campus outside of the UAE, which takes up to 5 gigawatts of capacity. So the role in the digital infrastructure, we see it as the enabler of the future development of AI. what we emphasize on as Khazna is to make sure that we have a solid and reliable AI-ready infrastructure that is able to serve the AI innovations, to allow it to scale and be accessible to as many people as possible. Today, I believe most of the audience here have some sort of an AI application installed on their phones, and they already can see the benefit they are gaining from having such a resourceful tool installed, and be it accessible 24/7, be it scalable. And this is what we thrive to make sure that most of the AI developments can get to the same level of accessibility and same level of scalability, and take away the hassle of worrying how can they scale, how can they be accessible globally. And that's why we are expanding our footprint globally, transferring our experience that we've gained in the UAE and building AI-ready data centers. And now we started in the UAE, now we expanded into Saudi, Egypt, Kenya, Turkey, and also recently we've announced our market entry here in France and in Italy as well.
Thank you. We can't talk about AI as growth engine without talking about the next frontier technology and quantum computing. So, Nicolo, what disruptive role do you envision for quantum in boosting AI in industry or specific scientific productivity over the next 5 years? How is quantum fitting into the picture?
Thank you, Valerie. Good morning, everyone. Quantum computing is placing itself as a new paradigm in computing, developing new molecules, solving and accelerating energy transition with new catalysts for reducing carbon consumption of expensive chemistry process. But today, quantum is already enriching AI model. So what we develop are servers that fits in the same infrastructure, that are providing data that and analysis that standard model cannot reach, simply because they run on a world which is classical, which is different than a quantum one. So there is no way that AI model, whatever large size is it, can provide this kind of data. So we are testing this with use cases, with user, installing our machines in data center, and working both with research institute and partners worldwide in France on chemistry, like predicting polymers properties in some kind of material. Working with EDF, for example, modeling infrastructure, or providing higher precision in the energy grid infrastructure, and as well as Orange, a telecom provider, something that CEO launched last week in Vivatech. We are entering in a partnership with them to define new ways to classify malware. So quantum brings new data, enriches model, provides higher precision, higher classification, and is therefore bringing a gap in between today and the new quantum computing infrastructure that we built in parallel.
Thank you. And if we come back to today, I mean, there are already some technologies, Florence, that are enhancing productivity, and digital twin are one of them. So how are digital twin transforming innovation cycle and helping companies to achieve efficiency gain at scale?
Thank you very much, Valerie. And first, good morning to all of you. I'm very happy to be in this panel today. I spent 4 fabulous years in GCC, so I'm always happy to meet people from GCC. So virtual twin and AI are a game changer when it comes to innovation and productivity. Why? Because, for example, let's take a company like Renault. You know that the challenge of the car company right now is to be as efficient in their development program as their Chinese counterpart. And Renault, with the virtual twin of the car, combined to the virtual twin of the manufacturing process, was able to cut its development program for this new car by 2, going from 4 years to 2 years, in order to be at par with the best Chinese company, thanks to virtual twin and AI. But what is possible for the development of a new car is also possible for the production of new medicine. Let's take the example of Sanofi. Sanofi, one of their challenges, because we live in a world where pandemic now happen, one of their challenges is to move from the production of one vaccine to another vaccine. Well, thanks to the virtual twin of their manufacturing plant in Lyon, they are able to switch from the production of one vaccine to the production of another in 75% less time than previously. So it's a real game changer. And it's just the beginning, because now virtual twin and Gen AI are going to bring even more. I'm working with some tier 1 supplier of car company or aerospace company, and they think that by combining virtual twin of a design with all the data they have and working with Gen AI on the data, they can reduce by 90% the time of design. So we are talking a real game changer when it comes to innovating more quickly, producing more efficiently, but also life cycling all parts of the product more sustainably. For example, working with some high-tech companies who are working on circular high-tech, making sure that each part of the high-tech product will be recycled infinitely, thanks to the virtual twin.
Yes, I think I wanted to, if we go to the next topic in terms of sustainability and responsible AI, obviously digital twin are very much an enabling sustainability and recycling and less computing power required and so on. So how do digital twins drive responsible design and help organizations achieve ESG goal?
That's a very interesting question. As you know, climate change and sustainability, it's a major issue. It's a major opportunity for us to transform our company to make them more sustainable. Deloitte did a study 3 years ago, and they have proven that 85% of the technology exists to make the world more sustainable if they are implemented by industry. And virtual twin is a key technology in that context. Why? Because basically, if you design, which is a case for any car or plane right now, or a lot of product, if you design a product based on their virtual twin, then you can know from the beginning how much it's going to cost you in terms of material, water, CO2, energy. And you can optimize by sustainability. So you have a huge impact by doing to almost zero in CO2 emission already at the design phase by working on the virtual twin. And combining virtual twin and eco-design powered by AI can reduce almost to zero, because then you recycle the design of your product. And that's what we are going, for example, with some consumer company like Tetra Pak. But then, in a second stage, it's good to have a beautiful design and a sustainable design, but if you don't optimize your manufacturing process on your supply chain, you can still emit a lot of CO2 and have a lot of waste. By using the virtual twin of your manufacturing plant, you can also optimize all processes in the manufacturing plant or on the construction of a project. And for example, pre-construction, they were able to decrease the emission of the construction by 40% and the water usage by 30% just by using the virtual twin during the construction. And then, in a later stage, by having the virtual twin of any, like your phone, for example, we're able to predict in advance how each part of your phone can be reused in another phone or anything else in order to recycle everything. And this is one of the European projects we are working on. It's called Econ right now. But the point is, by using virtual twin of the product, of the manufacturing plant, and by recycling every component, you can enter into an infinite circle of reuse and optimize for sustainability. And it's a real game changer. Dassault Systèmes has taken the commitment that 70% of our solution will be dedicated to sustainable solution to help our 375,000 customers to become more sustainable. And it's a real engagement of all our team around the world and our team in the GCC. And here you have Pierre Bontemps leading in UAE and Denis Guillois leading in Saudi Arabia. We are very committed to that as well.
That's great. I mean, it's a very encouraging message. Sustainability is also about the source of energy and the energy that we use to power this data center. And I think Fluid Stack, César has developed or is quite specialized in nuclear-powered data center. So can you tell us a bit more on that and how this can play a role in reducing the environmental impact of AI infrastructure?
Sure. Thank you, Valerie. Just to clarify, we're not building nuclear power plants. We're just building the end data center, which is powered by nuclear power plants. I think what AI brought up to clear light of day is that power is really truly a critical asset, especially in Europe, where we've seen kind of a deindustrialization process over the last 10, 20 years, and where kind of the consumption of power was pretty stagnant. We've seen that the industry and like incumbents like Schneider, ABB had like very, I'm not gonna harm them and tell slow growth, but like had some pretty stable growth pipelines, and then suddenly you have all those Gen AI and AI workloads arriving, which require them to 10x or even 20x the production of electricity and the production of all the electrical components that they need to produce to meet that demand. And basically all the demand they were expecting for the next 20 years arrived within a year. So creating a lot of tension on that. I think going back to the nuclear point, France is in a unique position where a gentleman called Charles de Gaulle made a bet 60 years ago that France needed its own power sovereignty, and that bet was put on the nuclear side of things, and now it is paying off. And so France is really in that unique position whereby we have about 90 terawatt hour, which is about 10 gigawatts of instantaneous consumption. So the equivalent of the consumption and power of basically of Belgium, which is exported every year. And so there's a big opportunity in France to be able to tap into those unused resources and to convert those, what we call electrons, into something that is usable and into AI infrastructure. And that is really what we're doing. So we are still connecting to the grid. We have also the chance in France to have a very stable and very centralized grid, which is powered about 70% by nuclear energy, 25% by renewables, and the last 5% by gas. And we use that electricity to power those data centers, which is a really unique element. So our commitment at Fluid Stack is really to try and minimize the carbon emissions of those data centers, because we're consuming the power of nearly a nuclear reactor for those data centers, and so we just want to minimize the carbon impact there. I think what we're seeing in the US is completely opposite, where we tend to run mostly on gas because they do not have those nuclear reactors readily available, and so they have to build everything from the ground up. And unfortunately, in order to build that much power capacity in that short of a time frame, requires to use natural gas. So there's a lot of improvement that can happen on that front. But again, it's a race for access to power, and I think France is extremely well positioned. And we've seen this at the Action Summit, as well as Choose France, with all those massive investments in France in infrastructure because of that readily available power.
Yes, thank you. I think the cost of electricity is also reducing in the UAE with quite a lot of renewable energy. And Sultan, it's also, I mean, one of the key focus of Kazna data center. So can you tell us a bit more how AI and sizable appetite for power can be balanced with the need for sustainability, and how you do that at Kazna?
That's a very interesting question. Thank you for this question, because I think most of the people associate data center investment and data center capacity and power requirements with usually doesn't go hand in hand with the sustainability, while in fact we at Kazna, we take the sustainability and ESG factors all the way through every step that we take. We assess, when we look at a potential site, we look at it and assess it from not only technical perspective and suitability, but also from sustainability, and we dig deep into the energy sources that will be providing power to our data center. And there is a specific requirement, probably a specific opportunity that I would like to discuss here with the audiences, where in our Kenya expansion, what drove that decision was mainly In Kenya, they have a very unique proposition where they have a geothermal power plant that is capable of producing 1 gigawatts of power, which eventually will allow us to build a data center that can be entirely powered by renewable energy, not only zero carbon energy for AI workloads, which that puts it as a unique proposition in the market today. And that is to reflect on how important for Khazna is to and cautious on how we source our power. And the same applies to when we thought of expanding into France as well. Given France, they have a great energy mix of nuclear power plant that also zero carbon energy that also gives us the opportunity to scale with less carbon footprint. And that is something people also need to understand, that although we do have huge requirement of power as a data center industry, and this is the numbers people look at, the net add of power capacity needs to be added to be able to serve the AI innovation and revolution is scary, but we also need to be smarter in how we source our power and how we also be efficient in our operations as much as we can. And given our experience in the UAE, where it's no secret, where we operate under extreme temperatures throughout the years, we've managed to achieve a very efficient and competitive POE rate. And that's exactly the reason why we are expanding globally, given the experience that we've had in operating in such extreme temperatures in the UAE, and to be sure that we always take responsible energy usage and sustainability throughout our process.
Yeah, Igor, responsible AI is not just about sustainability, it's also about ethics, about interpretability, and I think you do quite a lot of work in that. So Europe is pushing for interpretable, energy-conscious AI, and how can this European standard become a global benchmark?
Well, great question. I think what we need to realize is that we're in a period of time that changes every 15 days. Especially with regard to Gen AI. A lot of the science is just not there. That is, we don't have theoretical views of how those things should be bound in some fashion. And so there is a lot of work that goes on at startups, scale-ups, and so forth, trying to figure out exactly how to make this whole thing happen. But I think it's very worthy because in effect, I look at Gen AI as very similar to the invention of writing. And if there is something very common between, let's say, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and France, it's the fact that back in Saudi, they had, at least up north, the Nabateans. In France, we had the Gauls. And we have no recollection of what those civilizations were doing, because none of them were essentially using written statements, or very little of it. So we get to hear about the Gauls only through the Romans. We get to hear about the Nabateans because of the other civilization that wrote about it. And so in a way, what we're seeing nowadays with Gen AI is very similar to writing. We're having now the computational ability to have discussions with this generative AI, with this new technology. And so somehow we're in the process of essentially putting bounds on it, on what we want from it, and so forth. But the reality of it is it's a day-to-day investment. It's something that we are all aware of on how it's going to be growing. I think what I like also in terms of parallel with regard to what we've seen in the past with regard to civilization going away because there was no writing is that France, and at least in the MENA region, there is a sense now that you have to put these infrastructures in place so that you can be remembered. So being remembered means that this technology now is available to everyone, not just a happy few coders, engineers. It's essentially everyone. Your mother, people who do not want to talk to a computer now have the ability to have an actual conversation. And so those questions that you're asking are very important. They are essentially being looked at every day. We don't have all the answers. But in effect, if we are not taking this path, we're going to be like the Gauls or the Nabateans. We're going to be gone. But
I think that leads also to the topic of sovereignty, and I think Igor, you're also you really believe that Gen AI architecture can be designed to reinforce and not compromise national autonomy over digital capabilities. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. I think there is a cultural side of things. And that's why we started with one of the first LLM in French, with French data back in 2021. The underlying reason is when GPT-3, before ChatGPT came out, we had this notion that an LLM was trained in mostly US data, mostly the ones that are on the web, I think. And you would be asking questions like, where is Mont Saint-Michel? And you would get from GPT-3, oh, it's in Brittany. Anyone that is French enough knows that it's in Normandy. It's not in Brittany. It's in Brittany for someone that lives in California, but it's not. Culturally speaking, those LLMs are like us. We feed them with everything about us, so they tell us about who we are. And so in a way, when you are producing LLMs with a culturally relevant environment, data in a way, you make them closer to you, to your cultural values and so forth, which is why in Europe, we need to have not just one, but potentially 27 different LLMs of different sorts, or at least one that essentially has this aspect of looking at cultural values of those 27 different countries. The same goes for MENA. Same goes for Saudi, as opposed to potentially, Qatar or the UAE. The sense of it is the culture is a little bit different. Those LMs need to be able to be like us, and therefore need to have our values.
Thank you. I think that's very interesting to preach for diversity. Ibrahim, how is the National Technology Development Plan helping Saudi Arabia achieve this AI sovereignty while still leveraging global partnerships?
Perfect. So before, let's look at the bigger picture. So as I said in the beginning, it's an integrated ecosystem where we have the government, the private sector, the policymakers, and the fund as well to build this ecosystem and to reach to the AI sovereignty. AI sovereignty for us, it's not just becoming like a regular user for the technology or just a consumer. It's about controlling the full or the entire AI stack, the data, the computing, the cloud, the infrastructure, and also building the models. And the most important thing is to build the talents to be able to manage the whole entire stack. If you look at the AI sovereignty, as I said in the beginning, we have now our own AI national champion, Human, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company. But as an entity right now, for the second fund, the $33 billion fund, we have 4 main pillars. The first one is to keep doing what we do in the early stage, pushing more entrepreneurs to the ecosystem and building more new startups, especially in AI deep tech as well. The second pillar is how we focus on the growth and upscale stage, taking all these startups who reach to this stage and help them to grow and reach to the finance and capital as well. The third pillar is to focus more into deep tech, building the deep tech ecosystem. And the fourth pillar, which is the most important thing, it's building the AI sovereignty. It's not only AI, it's AI and also the digital sovereignty. The goal of Saudi Arabia is to be in the top 15 digital economy country by 2013. As I said, like controlling 7% of all global AI load, that will help us to reach to the AI sovereignty. Again, like each country, they have the right to have their own AI sovereignty, and I think that the competition, it's something really nice, and I think the healthy competition that we see between the countries are helping us to be more innovative, to be more also building talents and access to build the infrastructure as well. But the most important thing is how we collaborate and we bring all these efforts between these countries and build new cases, build new, do a lot of R&Ds between the countries and also open to the world and help the other countries as well.
Yeah, and Cesar, you have built quite a strong public-private partnership. So what are some of the best practice from Fluid Stack experience in building this private-public partnership to anchor a sovereign AI infrastructure in Europe?
So I think it can be summarized in 3 main points. The first one is related to demand, the second one to financing, and the third one is related to the administrative process. If we look at demand, we're building a lot of infrastructure. There needs to be offtake, because otherwise we're heading straight into a kind of an overbuilding and overshoot of the infrastructure side. And so that's where the government, especially in France, have an organization called GenC, who is in charge of kind of aggregating all of the demand from different labs and universities onto a single kind of platform, and then delivering this to the different supercomputing capabilities, well, supercomputing clusters and data centers that are available. So I think the role of the government in terms of aggregating the demand from the public sector as well as universities is pretty important, because it's, especially on the research side and the university side, it's typically very fragmented, where one professor might have all the compute in the world he needs, and the person next door might literally be looking for every single piece of compute he can find because he's just struggling massively. So that's the demand point. On the finance side, we're building things that are extremely costly. We usually use what's called asset-backed debt, where we finance this not using equity money, but we finance this by taking massive loans, which are backed by the assets we buy, which are typically the chips and the data centers, but also by the contracts with the end users. And so we've seen structures where governments can typically step in and provide like a state guarantee behind this. It doesn't require them to put in cash. It requires them to basically use their balance sheet in order to help on unlock kind of that chicken and the egg problem. And it also drives interest rates down significantly, because obviously you have a state backing relative to which will be much more, hopefully more credit worthy than a startup or a lab. Not always the case. And the third point is on the administrative side. So we've seen France do a lot of work on trying to simplify the administrative process for the establishment of data centers, both at the electrical connection level with their TSO RTE, as well as the admin level with simplified procedures for permitting building authorizations. There's a law being voted right now to try and further simplify this. And so that's pretty critical, because it's a full-out race. And so when everyone else is accelerating, you cannot be slowed down by your administration. And France is not really known for being a very fast and quick administrative country. So if they can do it, I'm pretty sure everyone else can do as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And Nicolo, what does that mean, the concept of sovereignty for quantum computing?
Yeah, as AI, quantum computing is exactly there. Most of countries worldwide, they have an AI strategy, they have a quantum computing strategies. And that, to me, is totally linked to one point, which is resilience. Can a country access talent, IP, hardware, and can manufacture components? Let's not forget AI today runs, but the components, the semiconductor, are built in few places in the world. In quantum, we're starting basically from zero. So every country has the possibility today to build an industry, a quantum industry. And that's what at Quandela we are very, very much focused, because we build machine made of semiconductor technologies, photonic technologies used for telecom, and we build them in Europe. So every partner has access to the resilience of Europe, and the machines are built here. We deploy hardware, so every partner has access to the latest machine. And then through partnership on the end user, academics, research institutes, but also government, we provide education tools. So to build the workforce internally and to be resilient not only on the machine, but also on the end user side. And working with corporates, we help them developing their own IP that will be crucial once the machine, quantum computers, the large scale one, will be there.
Thank you. Very interesting. So we're in the context of this summit is about cross-border collaboration between between UAE, the GCC and France. So I just want to finish a bit with the topic of international positioning, cross-border collaboration, and perhaps give you all the floor to tell us a bit what you do abroad, what you do with the GCC, what you do with France, so that we have a broader view on these exchanges and collaboration.
So let me begin. Well, first, we live in a very exciting time because AI, virtual twin are revolutionizing the industry. And like the proof point we just had on data center and quantum computing are just proof. For us at Dassault Systèmes, it's super exciting. We are expanding a lot with our technology developed in France, but also in our 132 countries in the GCC. And really, the GCC is probably the area where I see the most important growth because of the size of the infrastructure project that will need new way to be more sustainable, the new investment in energy, but also in the industry and in the healthcare system. So, I mean, for Dassault Systèmes, there has never been such an exciting time to invest in the GCC.
Thank you.
Great. So as you can see, we are here in France to bring our companies to France and also to take French companies to Saudi Arabia. Not only that, but also to have activities in R&D. Saudi Arabia has Vision 2030, and France they have France 2030. And I had the pleasure to meet with Bruno Bonnell when I was here and see how we can collaborate together between Saudi Arabia and France, especially when it comes to R&D activities, AI use cases, and as well, and also exchange talents. Not only that, that's all they are working right now in Saudi Arabia. Also, Nicola, we are working with him right now. Khazna, they are expanding to Saudi Arabia. You can see this kind of collaboration and partnership between the countries. Of course, as I said in the beginning, the healthy competition is required, but also the partnership and collaboration is more required. It will help us to do more R&D activities, to develop more talents, access to different markets, access to new challenges actually that you might not have in your country. And this will help us actually not only to scale up, but also to be more creative, more agile, and also to serve other nations as well.
So co-opetition is the word.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Fluidstack, we mostly we're based in Europe. We mostly invest in France, again, because power is readily available and there's capacity to build those data centers and those large scale clusters in Europe. For us, the fastest growing market, though, is the GCC. We're seeing a lot of developments, especially in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and we are working very closely with both countries. So I think they're giving a proper run for their money to France in terms of battling for that third spot on the AI podium alongside China and the US. So it's a pretty exciting time to be alive.
I don't think we have a choice. We are neither the US nor China. Our population-wise are pretty similar. We're countries that are leapfrogging into the future with this Gen AI. We need to have a Gen AI that we own on our premises so that our industries stay at home. And so in a way, at Lighton, we're helping that, by the way. But the point of it is, strategically speaking, one of the reasons those data centers are popping up is really to help the rest of the industry take up this opportunity of using Gen AI and doing an actual leapfrogging compared to the rest of the world. And so, in a way, cooperation is obvious, but it's also all these countries in GCC and France looking at each other and seeing somehow how they fit into the rest of the world order.
Thank you.
I think collaboration is very important between the two different, our GCC region and France. And this is something goes way back in history where we rely on a very strong relationship between the French and the GCC. And also to add to it, in the past year, there was an announcement between our two governments, the UAE and France, to co-invest in developing a French AI campus, which will be around 50 billion euros investment. And that's also to add to the point that collaborating into tackling this new AI requirements to be able to fast-track the deployment, to be able to fast-track the accessibility and to start seeing the outcome of these AI innovations and AI outcomes. France has a huge potential for new AI technologies and upcoming startups. And with us collaborating with the French entities and play a big part in enabling their digital economy that will eventually contribute to large multipliers in their local economy is a significant task we are taking, and we look forward to it.
Thank you. Nicolas?
Yes, so we are present in several countries worldwide. That's mandatory to make this technology flourishing. North America, South Korea, Singapore. But the GCC area is unique, and not only for what they can provide, but for the synergy that has with France. And what we can provide, what we can build together, the ability to do big projects, the boldness, be engaged in take big challenges and big leaps. This is what Europe needs, and we can provide talent and our experience and make the two booming in the coming years.
Thank you. I think we will need to wrap up. I'm not sure, the clock is not working, but just one word from each of you. What is one thing we must do now to shape a better AI future? And we're going to go from Nicolo back to Florence. One word to conclude. Nicolo.
Responsibility. Laws and strong partnership, as we said before. I think this is the base to have a solid growth.
Thank you.
I think from my point of view is the one word I'd like to end with is to build capacity before demand overwhelms us.
Yeah.
One word. Stay optimist. That's two words. I think in both regions we have temperament of essentially looking at things like it's all done. This Gen AI technology changes everything. The kids are taking it up as we speak.
Yeah.
It's changing everything. Stay optimist.
I think it's going to be following on what Igor said, basically be bold. Realistically, we completely missed collectively the cloud and internet era. We're seeing that we're still alive on the AI era because, as France, I'm speaking, we made bets 60 years ago on nuclear, which if it wasn't for a single man, would have never been done. And so now's our chance to bet on AI. And if we don't seize that opportunity, we'll be looking back 30 years from now and be in the exact same spot relative to where we are now with internet and cloud.
It's three things. Partnership, collaborative effort, and open to new innovations.
And for me, it's investment in people. We are at a very interesting time in the history because now we have AI, we have technology, we have the technology infrastructure, and it's up to all of us to transform it into a revolution that's going to change the way we produce, we live, we are getting treatment. So we are at a very unique moment because I think that in 10 years from now, everything will have changed thanks to AI, Gen AI, and virtual twin. But we have to keep investing in talents because investing in education is the best way to have the next generation, and our generation, of course, to continue to create the future of the industry.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to moderate this panel discussion. I hope you have enjoyed it. And yes, please applaud, a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you.